Welcome to another episode of the Insilico Terminal podcast. Today I have with me Adam, also known as Abetrade, and
Hello.
I like asking people who they are to introduce themselves. So, who are you?
Yeah.
What do you do?
Thanks for having me. My name is Adam. Yeah, I go by Abetrade on Twitter. I've been trading for quite a while now. Around 2016, 17 was when I initially started. And yeah, I've been trading, for a bit. Traded a bunch of things. I think one of the few people that also trades TradFi quite a lot on
Hmm.
CT, which no one really cares about. but but yeah, I kind of started this. I started doing a lot of like shorter term trading, day trading, and stuff around that. Then in the recent years, I switched more towards more boring holding stuff for longer
Hmm.
type of trading. But yeah, I've been doing this for a while. Been through. I guess I can say I tried to trade everything at this point and bunch of different markets and different things. Something worked, some things didn't. But yeah, it's been a fun journey to say at least.
What made you get into trading in the first place? Did you get into
Dude,
like all trading at the same time, or like crypto specifically, or?
no, man, like I think around this like 2016, I was doing something like completely different. I don't have any kind of like background in, finance or any kind of school, to be fair. And yeah, I think I was just like, Googling these kind of like how to make money online with least
Really?
effort. Yeah, yeah. And I think like the first thing that I ever traded were these like binary options, which is
Hmm.
this. There is this like it was kind of viral video now on Twitter. This kind of like mega ETH app where you like click
Yeah,
these
yeah, I just saw
boxes.
it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So like the binary options was like the first. It's like a very similar concept when you just like bet on long or short and it expires in
Hmm.
like 30 seconds. I think it's actually like complete scam, and these websites were hosted in like some random island and you will never see
Yeah.
your money anyway. But yeah, like this was kind of the, I guess, introduction that I had. Um and then around the same time I learned about crypto. It was like during 2017 when like the first kind of retail wave kind of came in.
Hmm.
But like I didn't know, like anything. I think like when I bought Bitcoin for the first time, I think it was like 6K or something like that. But I had like no idea what I was doing. Yeah, I bought ETH, then I started buying, a bunch of ICOs back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, like made bunch of money. But I think like beginning 2018 when stuff crashed, I think I like lost all of it or
Hmm.
most of it. Um, and yeah, I've been like very like during the time. I got, I guess, more interested in like trading itself rather than crypto.
Hmm.
So, and like back in the day, like there were, like you had BitMEX basically for like perps and it was like super illiquid and you had these like insane VIX and everything. So I basically around like 2019, I gravitated more towards like forex for a very brief period of time, but then
Hmm.
very shortly after I started trading futures, uh, where I got into order flow and all of these things which are like super popular now.
Hmm.
uh, and yeah, from like 2018 until like like basically until COVID or like 2020, I was trading the German bonds and Euro stocks, which is like, yeah, it's like the European version of like S&P and just
Yeah.
bonds. But yeah, since I live in Europe, these things trade in the morning. So yeah, I was trading that quite, and I guess I got you know quite well, was doing pretty good,
Mm-hmm.
very quickly. At the time, it was like very different markets, even like the order flow stuff and everything. Like the markets used to be like much thicker and were moving like much slower. So like you could really
Mm-hmm.
like trade like dom and these things. Like in bonds, like I see like a lot of people like trading, or like posting, dom on CT on like fucking altcoins, which like move so fast, and they are like aggregated types of markets. So it's like very different from what I used to do back then, since these markets were like moving so slowly. So you were just basically like scalping few ticks
Mm-hmm.
um, here and there, and yeah, I was doing pretty well, and um, around, and there was also like not that many like stuff online about it. I remember paying a bunch of money back then. There's Axia futures. I think they are still pretty popular now.
Mm-hmm.
Jigsaw, which they also had like a order flow type course, but yeah, there wasn't much stuff around, and I started to be active on Twitter as well. I think like in 2019, or around that time. But there were like no people, like who trades fucking German bonds. Like it's like 70-year-old Germans.
So your
Uh,
strategy was basically like you were doing DOM scalping and order flow
Yeah,
stuff
yeah,
on
yeah.
these instruments.
I was using market profile and volume profile. I was using mostly volume profile and just kind of like trading around these like, classic volume profile levels, low volume nodes, high volume nodes, type of things. But
How
yeah,
does it work if you trade bonds? Like, do you just use a ton of leverage because they are so?
yeah. So like futures, compared to like crypto, they when you trade like futures on like CME, or when you trade futures on like Eurex, you are not setting up the leverage, but the leverage is like baked into the market. Like for example, if you
Mm-hmm.
trade ES, the S&P futures contract, which it's trading at like 6,700 index points or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like 1 point is worth $50. So
Okay.
your notional size is like quick math is like 200, 300k per trade, and your margin requirements are like very low. Like I'm not sure how much you need for like 1 year's contracts, but like it's like a few grand basically. It's like
Mm-hmm.
the leverage
Mm.
in TradFi and in like CME futures is like often like 100, 200x basically, just kind of
Okay.
baked into these contracts. So like yeah, like the leverage is very high, and it's the same in bonds. Like the German, the German bond, which is like the 10-year contract, which is like the most kind of liquid thing which is traded in Europe. This just moves, like few ticks per day, but like one tick is basically worth like 10 euros. So
Mm-hmm.
it's just, yeah, like the leverage part is kind of there in the contract itself. Yeah.
I see.
Yeah, so yeah, I guess I started to be more active on Twitter, but like you said, there was like non-existent kind of like community of
Mm-hmm.
people who trade these markets. Like, so, and I just started to post about more of the order flow stuff, and I started a blog as well around the time. I figured out it would be kind of cool to write about these things, because
Mm-hmm.
it was also when kind of COVID started to hit. So I was just kind of stuck at home anyway. And yeah, I met Insilico. He was like one of the first people I started talking to. He
Mm-hmm.
used to trade back in the day instead of just schizo posting all day about fucking GPUs and stuff.
Apparently,
Uh,
he still trades, but he just doesn't really talk about it anymore, I
yeah,
guess.
yeah. But yeah, I remember we had this like there was this like a small Discord,
Mm-hmm.
during the time where like just there's like I don't know like 10, 20 people, and we were all like trading order flow, and this is where I kind of started to look into crypto trading more, and basically started to trade BTC, um, which I then did for next like 2 years throughout basically the whole kind of like bull market.
Mm-hmm.
First on BitMEX, then BitMEX kind of went down. So yeah, I started. I guess I was trading on Bybit. it was
What was
very,
the
yeah.
what was the transition like from going from the Bund to Bitcoin, which is like vastly different in volatility, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in 2020, like Bitcoin was very different from what I used to remember from like
Hmm.
2018 when you had these like insane candles and wicks. So it was more liquid already, and also it wasn't that hard. Like it's like Bitcoin is very similar to, especially like these days, like similar to like Nasdaq, with like it's just like more volatile. So there was definitely a kind of a difference, but yeah, it's just like it's a faster market. So you need to kind of pay a little bit more attention. But I remember like back in like when like the early 2021, which was like when I was like fully in trading BTC. It was like one of the easiest conditions you could get,
Hmm.
because like price was just going up, and you basically had, like back in the day, like there was really very little order flow kind of fragmentation. Like
Yeah.
all the retards that were trading on
Hmm.
BitMEX went to trade on Bybit mostly.
Yeah.
So you were like just watching, what Bybit is doing, and you had these like very aggressive shorts into any kind of small pullback, and you were just kind of buying into it, and price went up. So yeah, it was very, very easy times and very easy conditions to trade BTC back then.
How
And
long
yeah,
how long
yeah.
did it take you to like were you when did you go full time with trading? Were you like instantly profitable so you just made it your main thing, or did you do
Uh,
anything on the side?
I went really full time around that time when I kind of were transitioning, and
Hmm.
I was doing some things on the side as well, and I like did some things which were like not related to crypto. So yeah, I basically was kind of like moving more and more towards going full time too, and I think by the end of like or like half of 2021, I was kind of like, yeah, like this is kind of enough money to
Hmm.
go full time.
How was the
Yeah.
transition? Like what changed for you when you went all in? Did you have like a certain number that you hit and you were like certain that you can survive from trading from that point on?
Yeah, I guess like crypto going up only was helpful in that because it was
Hmm.
very easy to make money, and I came to crypto like I fumbled so many things, like when I basically like I started trading crypto very heavily towards like end of 2020, like after the COVID recovery basically, and
Hmm.
2021, but it was like very new thing to me. So and there were like you had like DeFi summer, after that you had I remember buying BNB at like $10 and selling it at like 15, thinking, how smart I am. So yeah, like there was like many generational wealth fumbles,
Yeah.
but still like it was kind of like price was going up. I was mostly trading Bitcoin. Um, and it was like very easy to trade
Hmm.
intraday. So this was like a very profitable year overall, basically for like trading, and made this kind of transition to much easier. Yeah.
So
Um, yeah.
no, go on, go on.
Yeah. No. But I think that's basically kind of it. Yeah. Like I did that for like until end of 2022, I think, which was
Hmm.
like like November was basically when price stopped. Uh, I was
Bottomed, you mean?
like, yeah, sorry, no, like I mean, end of 2021.
Oh yeah.
I was doing it. So like when the price stopped in like November 2021.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, after that, it's been like almost 2 years, and I was like, sitting at home 15 hours a day, living like shit, feeling
Hmm.
like shit. So yeah, like money wise, it was all fun, but yeah, I was like down bad, looking like I'm about to die in a minute. So
Oh
yeah,
really?
after that, like, yeah. So yeah, after that, like I kind of reconsidered and started to explore, more of like a longer term holding stuff instead of just,
Mm-hmm.
sitting in front of screen for, 15, 18 hours each day, and slowly kind of gravitated towards that to, what I trade these days, basically.
Was that difficult for you to transition from a lower time frame mindset to a higher
Mm,
time frame one?
yeah, yeah. Like the like the first year, uh, I wasn't like almost able to make any money, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it wasn't like because of, everything went down. I was always kind of just, trading long short. I didn't really care that much. But yeah, like definitely going from, having this kind of like a full control of, like, you take a trade and you just look at it, basically something happens, you just, close it. Once you are done for the day, you just fucking leave and do something else, don't really have to think about it, to just like have, a bunch of positions open, overnight, uh not kind of shitting your pants on like
Mm-hmm.
a, 2 day pullback type of situation. Yeah, yeah, it was like
Yeah.
very difficult. It was like more difficult than I thought it would be. And I went like very slowly from just, intraday trading to more of this like intra week, where, like you hold trade for like 2 or 3 days, still using like very similar concepts of, just like order flow, and but looking at like bigger, like liquidation spikes and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then to, what I trade these days, which is like I hold trades for, days, weeks, sometimes months. So yeah, but the transition was like very difficult, and I was
Yeah.
like having a lot of these like, moments where I was like, fuck, like I am unable to make money. I need to, go back to do day trading, or like go back to do this thing which I, did for last, 4 to 5 years,
Mm-hmm.
and I was pretty good at it. But then, kind of once again coming back to the point that I probably don't want to, you know, sit in front of things for all day for the next, whatever long. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, it was like super difficult.
Yeah, I can relate to that because I'm also mostly trade like lower time frames, so that's what I've been doing for like a long time, and I've like
Yeah,
recently started to do more higher time frame stuff, and
yeah,
it just feels a bit unnatural to like hold things for so long. It's just like
yeah,
I want to take the quick profits and not just like leave it there, and then it zigzags up
yeah,
and down and like PNL switches and whatever, and I just want to close it. But like sometimes it can be
yeah.
beneficial to hold for a long while, but it's a different mindset.
Yeah, for sure. And I think like one of the things which I like struggled a lot with was like, like when you use the order flow and you look at, like DOM, and you use these like footprint charts and whatever, like
Mm.
you think you are fucking like smartest person in the world, and you know exactly what's going on. And I
Yeah.
had this like thing in mind where like day trading and like use like doing these things is like the only way how you can like predict market,
Hmm.
like it's like I was, like I what I struggled with for a very long time was like really convincing myself that like I cannot, like how the fuck am I supposed to know what's going to happen, like where the price is going to be in like,
Yeah.
fucking 2 weeks or something like that, right? So it's much overall, and I still feel like this is true, is that like it's easier to, like what's going to happen in the next hour, rather than,
Mm.
where the price is going to be fucking next month. But
Yeah, I agree.
uh and I and I still don't know that, but I think one of the kind of like a realization is that like I am like you are able to make money holding things for longer periods of time without knowing where the price is basically going to
Yeah,
be in the next
that's
month.
true.
So
Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, it was it was very tough. Like there was like a lot of back and forth and a lot of money lost. But yeah,
It's kind of funny because I really get what you mean, but I feel like on CT, their opinion is kind of unpopular because like most people don't really trade lower time frames, and
yeah,
everyone kind of pretends that they can know where stuff is going in weeks or months or whatever.
yeah,
Like it's
yeah, yeah.
almost the main way that people trade, or at least what they post about and stuff.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's fun. Like always, like these things, like you look some of these like main characters, like people calling for like 50% moves in
Yeah,
whatever, and
yeah,
like, but like that's like absolutely what is like so unnecessary to do, even if you hold these trades for like long. It's like I when I take a trade, you know, these days, and it's like a directional swing trade because I trade also like non-directional stuff in options and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But like when I take a directional swing trade, like I have no idea where, like I'm kind of hoping that it's going to go my direction, obviously, so I'm not going to
Mm-hmm.
lose money. But like I have no idea where or how far is price going to go, and I'm just like have
Yeah.
a system which is like going to trail me out from the position eventually, basically. So yeah, it's very funny. It's like the city overall is like funny place, and a lot of these like big predictions are pointless, and yeah, people are uh, yeah, doing a lot of unnecessary stuff to get
It just
likes.
looks very very cool in hindsight when you can post like a P&L screenshot of
Yeah,
nailing
yeah,
the pico top or pico bottom or whatever. But
yeah,
like the execution during that time, like you don't really like no one really knows what is going to happen in
yeah,
6 months or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
Like anything can happen in that time.
yeah.
Of course, you
True.
can still make money from it, but like
Yeah.
the
No, I mean
conviction that
it's
people display is a bit misrepresented sometimes.
yeah, and it's like like it's because I feel like and like I don't think like technical analysis and all of these things are like useless in a way, but like you cannot be serious, like drawing a support and pointing a big arrow towards it and be like, yeah, this is a
Yeah,
this is the fucking level where price is going to go for uptrend for the next 4 months
yeah.
from it because there's it was tested before as a support. So yeah.
When we're talking about that, you have quite a lot of educational stuff. I've also read a lot of it back in like a couple of years ago. It's really good. I like
Yeah.
it. And so you're familiar with a lot of different tools. So I was wondering, what are like your favorites nowadays that you use, like your favorite order flow tools,
Yeah, yeah,
indicators, or
yeah.
whatever.
Like I said, like I used to, and I haven't been really posting that much on a blog these days. I think I do like one post a year.
Mm,
But yeah, like back in the day, like I said, I there was like very little stuff online about things like market profile and like footprint charts and order flow and stuff like that. Um, I don't really use it anymore at all. I think that these things are kind of pointless to use on like higher time frame. Like when
mhm,
we are talking about like charts, like don't I don't really use also like like do that much technical analysis as well. But like I don't really look below like a daily time frame. So yeah, it's a lot of the things that I have on my blog, and
mhm.
I always get these like DMs and messages about some like intraday stuff. I'm like, yeah, I'm washed. I don't really look at these things anymore.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, like I said, I trade a bunch of things these days. Across both kind of TradFi and crypto. I also trade options a lot in TradFi mostly, but
Hmm.
yeah, for like a directional trades, I'm trading like very simple like trend following and mean reversion things using just kind of combination of like bunch of indicators that like for like trends. And you spoke with Scott in
Yeah.
prior episode, and I think he has like a bunch of good threads about like trend following stuff,
Hmm.
um, and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm just like using very simple tools, but for each market that I trade, I also have like different kind of indicators which what I found the most success in
Hmm.
were kind of these like tools and indicators which are looking at like positioning of overall market.
Hmm.
Um, so for crypto, for example, I look at a lot of these like option skew, which is basically how kind of cheap or expensive options are on like put
Hmm.
and call side, which can kind of tell you if what the sentiment of the market is. I still use things like a like open interest. I still use things like funding rates, but looking at from it more on like a like more of like a comparative basis where really looking at these points where like in the last x amount of days how high is relative the open interest to where it was before.
Hmm.
uh also kind of with funding rates and with liquidation. There's like a lot of nuance to it because like it's very different markets. Obviously, like Bitcoin is much more mature than altcoins, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, I'm kind of trying to like for each market I'm using, and there are some of these tools obviously not the same, but like some of these tools, some of the indicators that kind of give you idea of the sentiment exist in futures. Same, you can look at there are options on futures, for example, on CME. So like I can
Mm-hmm.
also look at these kind of like at the skew of the options. I can do the same in stocks. And yeah, once I kind of get the idea of the where the like at the what side the market is kind of stretched, and I usually try to just kind of to go against like the bigger sentiment when like the
Mm-hmm.
sentiment is very very stretched. Then I just have like a very simple execution for like either looking for like mean reversion trades where things are like super stretched, or
Mm-hmm.
usually what is like easier and often less painful is just kind of like waiting for markets starting to turn, uh, and then just go with like a trend, momentum type of kind of entry where it's already kind of established trend, and you just kind of try to ride that and eventually get out, hopefully for to make some money.
Do you feel like options have a lot of influence in crypto or in Bitcoin?
I would say for sure, like in Bitcoin, I would say
Mm-hmm.
for sure, for in Bitcoin and ETH. Uh, in other markets, not really. I think it's kind of interesting, and probably I was I remember like back in 2021, 22. I really felt like there was like options was like in stocks, like you have Robinhood, and it's like the main degen thing in the US
Yeah.
markets. Uh, and it never really came to crypto in this way. And I felt like like a couple of years ago I was really thinking that like that's kind of like the thing which is kind of like not in there and like could be there.
Mm-hmm.
Like options on altcoins and playing these like zero DTs and stuff like that, but it never really caught up. So yeah, for BTC and ETH, for sure, the Rebit is doing a lot of volume.
Mm-hmm.
um, and there are some other places for options trading, but yeah, outside of these two, it never really kind of caught up. I don't know why. Maybe it's like too complicated for
Is
people.
is
I don't
it is
know.
it why is the influence so present? Because I feel like compared to perps volume, options volume is quite low, and in TradFi, options volume is like most of the derivatives volume,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Well, like I think the thing is like you don't really have like perps for stocks
Mm-hmm.
in TradFi. So like there are, and I think there were some attempts, or maybe some like brokers have like futures for stocks, but it's not really a thing in TradFi. So like you have just like like if you want to trade like Tesla, for example, on like Robinhood or Tasty Trade Interactive Brokers or
Yeah.
whatever you are using, you basically can buy spot. You can short the spot as well, but you only get like 2x leverage.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, so you need to put a lot of margin. It's kind of pain in the ass because like you pay to be short the stock as well. And then you have options where you can like the leverage is almost fucking infinite.
Mm-hmm.
So there is, I think it's just in TradFi is more like there is no other option really than trade options if you really want to like max out the leverage.
Yeah. But in crypto, the volume is comparatively quite small to perps, no? So like,
Um,
why is there still a huge influence or an influence at all in your opinion?
I think for BTC the volume is quite big on Deribit at least.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's definitely, and like you can do a lot of stuff in options as well. It really is like it's definitely more complex than trading perps, but it gives you really options to do a a lot of things you
Yeah.
like want to express, in very different ways, and you can like structure the trades many different ways you want. And so yeah, I think it's, and like in TradFi, like in SPX, for example, like options are mostly used for hedging.
Hmm.
Uh, so because once again, like people buy, like if like when S&P is trading, whatever price today, like people want to hedge. They don't buy the options, like put options at the price where SPX is now, but they will basically like, you have an option to just buy at like a lower strike. So when
Hmm.
market starts to drop, you start to make money, and these options are cheaper compared to the ones that are traded. Yeah, like I said, there's like a lot of different ways how you can kind of express your opinions. And I think there's like a lot of larger traders in crypto who rather trade options than perps.
Hmm. You said you're doing some delta neutral stuff using
Yeah,
options,
yeah,
right?
yeah. So that's, to be fair, like the mostly like 80-90% of my trades is actually selling options.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I got quite a lot into just like volatility trading.
How does that work?
Yeah, so you basically um, sell the options instead of buying them. So like for example, and I had a trade in Ibit, which is Bitcoin ETF, a couple of weeks
Hmm.
ago, where basically after the October 10th, what I did, I sold a strangle, which is you sell basically put and calls, which are like not at the current price but slightly after, and you are kind of betting on the fact that price is basically just going to stay the same. Like it's not going to move much, right? So like you
Yeah.
can, like if you think, and especially after these like volatility events, and there's one kind of interesting nuance in Bitcoin and in these like ETFs. You have in options you have like implied volatility, which is like what market thinks the volatility is going to be, and then you have like a realized volatility, which is like actually what it's like a like implied volatility is like forward looking, and the realized volatility is
Hmm.
what has happened in last whatever days. And in crypto and in these ETFs especially, the implied volatility very often, almost always, is higher than the realized, because like when BTC moves, it moves a lot.
Hmm.
So you know it makes, and like a lot of people, like especially like when people on like Robinhood and stuff like that, like they want to buy options, but because you have this like implied volatility, and obviously like options have expiration days, so like it's not like a per position. Like if I buy a call and longer perp at the same time, and price just like slightly moves higher, like in the perp position I'm already in profit because it's above
Hmm.
my entry. But for you have to pay for the option. So like if like there is a certain way of price needs to move for you to
Hmm.
even start to make money basically in options. So yeah, more often than not, selling them is actually kind of a smarter thing to do, because you um, just collect the premium, and these options basically decay. So
Yeah.
when price is not moving, and yeah, for Bitcoin and for the IBIT ETF, the implied volatility is very often higher. So like market kind of thinks that price is going to move more than it usually does. So yeah, one of the trades that I often take in ETFs especially is just selling these like straddles and strangles, which are these kind
Hmm.
of like neutral structures, basically betting on price to remain the same, and
Isn't that
option.
still some kind of directionality? Like you're not betting on the directionality of price, but like on the direction of the volatility.
Uh, yeah, but like when the like usually when you sell a structure like this, like you are betting on the fact that like volatility is going to be lower,
Yeah.
because like the volatility and price often kind of go hand in hand. So like if price moves a lot and you are short these structures, you obviously lose money on volatility as well, because like price moved, so market was volatile.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's and yeah, like I take bunch of these trades. You can then like obviously it's very different kind of like payout curves compared to like directional trading,
Mm-hmm.
where these mostly you often make little bit of money, and every once in a while you kind of get fucked because market moves a lot, and obviously you start to lose a lot of money. So it's definitely not a free trade, but yeah, you can hedge these. Obviously you can then, like, if you sell options closer to the price, then you can like
Mm-hmm.
buy some very cheap, like 5 delta 1 to 5 delta
I
options to
see. I
like,
see.
yeah, so like you're not gonna get completely kind of rolled over. But
Yeah.
like a lot of like this and there is like a lot of great stuff about this from Ewan Sinclair. He's very kind of known in the volatility trading space, and he
Mm-hmm.
kind of talks about this concept of like risk premium, where like selling options and like doing these type of things is more like a selling insurance,
Mm-hmm.
where you make money most of the time, but every once in a while someone dies and you have to pay their family a lot of money. So it's a very similar concept to this, and this kind of it's this thing called like variance risk premium, which is this kind of like very persistent trend of implied volatility is overstated basically compared to what markets usually do.
Mm.
It kind of happens in a bunch of different ways. So yeah, like I said, I trade a lot of these ETFs because like ETFs have kind of less this like idiosyncratic risk for like like for stocks, like some news gonna come out, or like there's you always have earnings as well. You know in For Bitcoin, is I think like there's very few things which like very few news moving
Mm-hmm.
BTC at this point. It's like like what is the narrative? I don't know, like everything happened at this point, so I have hard time
Kind of.
imagining like what would be. Yeah, so like for ETFs, I do a bunch of these trades, but yeah, there is like a lot of things, and but it's very interesting. Um, it's very interesting stuff to trade, but the kind of the concept overall is very similar. Like I said, I sell options more than I buy them. In
Mm-hmm.
these ETFs, which is like you hold these trades for like a month basically. You generally sell like 30 days to expiration, so like these trades can take quite a while. I do a lot of earnings trades as well in
Mm-hmm.
the stocks earnings, uh, which is basically the same concept. It's just the fact that when stocks have earnings, the implied volatility is much higher than the realize, and usually more often than not, people are just expecting these huge moves, but they tend to not happen that often.
Yeah.
But yeah, the payout curve for a trade like this, which obviously just takes one day, because you just buy the nearest kind of expiration compared to some of these things which you hold for longer, is very
Mm-hmm.
similar. Like you just like collect this type of like insurance payments, but obviously then you sell one of these structures in like Nvidia, and Nvidia moves 30% on earnings. You get like completely fucked
Mm-hmm.
every once in a while. So it's a very different type of trading, but I. Uh, I think at the moment I'm trading around like 6 or 7 strategies, which are
Mm-hmm.
some of them are like directional, some of them are in the option space. So I try to these days look at the things as like just trying to have like bunch of uncorrelated strategies in like different markets. Manage the risk. Obviously, all of these strategies I think is like very important
Mm-hmm.
for all of the stuff that you trade, and whatever it is just like one thing or a bunch of things, like have some like you need to be able to explain what are you doing to someone who like understands a little bit of
Yeah.
market, and they should like be like, oh yeah, it makes sense, like this thing is going to make money, right? Like for like the for like a directional stuff, it's just like trends usually last when they happen, right? So like it's like when you, for example, when I compare like the option selling stuff where you make small amounts of money mostly, but then every once in a while you get basically rolled over. Compare this to like momentum in stocks or like momentum even in crypto I trade. Usually, you bet on a trend. It often doesn't happen. You just get
Hmm.
stopped, and you just make a little bit of money, lose a little bit of money. But then, every once in a while you will get this big move
Yeah,
and you
it's
will
pretty
make a
much
bunch of
the other way
money.
around.
Yeah, yeah. So it's basically like other way around in like payout curves. So I kind of try to combine these things together, and then
Hmm.
they together create this like strategies where, or this like one bigger system where, hopefully something is going to make money. More
That
often,
sounds
yeah,
like it makes it psychologically also a bit easier because you're like relying on multiple different things instead of
yeah,
just one.
yeah,
Like
for
if you're only
sure,
doing
for sure.
momentum and most of the time you're just like losing,
Yeah,
then
yeah.
I feel like that can get quite hard psychologically.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, and I was like looking at, when I was kind of moving towards this and, thinking about swing trading and like how I want to run things. Like there is, especially in crypto, like you have like a lot of things you can do, but it's just like it's very often done by very smart people, and I'm sure like
Hmm.
Scott maybe talked about it. Like they do a lot of these like carry strategies when like
Hmm.
like you short in one perp dex, you buy another one, or like there is like inefficiencies where there was like I saw the tweet couple days ago from Ponzi trader. Like he made a bunch of money because there was like mispricing on Kraken and
Hmm.
some decks on like some token that launched. Like there is like so many things you can do, but they usually don't last, or like the edge is kind of like people are really, like it's like so many people, for example, running these like funding strategies nowadays, or just like
Hmm.
look at for these like different mispricings. It's like very very competitive
Yeah,
type of situation, and I don't like to think that I'm smarter than I actually am. So
yeah.
I really try to just like do things that have like a long historical, evidence that they are working. And like I said, I don't really do intraday stuff anymore. I don't really, look at lower time frame charts. I don't, like when I take a trade, and it's like these earning trades, they are quick, but every single other strategy that I trade is holding trades for days to weeks. So
Hmm. If you had to start over or teach someone that is like new to trading, would you do what you're doing right now, or what do you recommend to go back to the lower time frame
yeah,
stuff?
it's hard because like I would say that I feel way more confident in the stuff that I do compared to like what I used to do on like lower time frames. And I think
Hmm.
like I saw a tweet from from Salsa a couple days or weeks ago, where he mentioned like how like intraday Bitcoin has changed over the years,
Yeah,
and how he
or he like
basically
lost his
like
edge.
yeah, like how
Yeah.
he like lost his edge, which makes complete sense because like you have all these new instruments, and it's very different market than it was 5 years ago basically.
Hmm.
So from this point of view, like I really think that what the stuff that I do now, I think it's much easier to and to teach people, and uh, they have much higher chance to make money. But
Yeah.
obviously the issue here is that like running multiple strategies, and even if you would do like momentum or like a mean reversion, like simple stuff in a bunch of these markets, like you don't trade very often. Obviously these things like not going to make money every month as well, so you need like a lot of money to you need like a big account basically
Yeah.
to because like you are not trading very frequently,
Hmm.
um and and you are allocating a bunch of money to different strategies. You have like margin requirements and stuff like that, so like this is not something that you can really And people when they start with a couple $1,000, it's very hard to
Yeah.
do. And even like even like BT, if you would just trade like doing like trend following stuff on Bitcoin, for example, like how much money you can realistically make. Like Bitcoin has these like very sharp moves, and then it goes sideways basically for months, and
Hmm.
then has another move. So it's like even if you caught all of these big trends, like if you have a small account, it's very hard uh, to do, and being able to sit on your hands when the kind of like, because obviously it's stupid to just like go fucking all in,
Hmm.
but then like you are focusing on these like bigger moves, holding trades for longer, but then you are like you're sitting in a trade and you just the PNL is almost like meaningless,
Yeah.
uh, because the account is smaller. So I'm very glad that I did it the way that I did it, that I
Hmm.
started day trading. I think I learned a lot about like markets and market microstructure and like how markets work and all of that
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm very glad I did. I was very lucky that I also made a bunch of money uh, early on. When especially when the markets were easy and in the day trading basically. But yeah, so this is a very tough thing to say, because yeah, you just need to have basically higher capital
Yeah.
to do the stuff that I am doing these days. And uh yeah.
You need to be a bit more of a degenerate with a small account,
Yeah,
I guess.
for sure, yeah.
Yeah. I want to talk a bit about Breakout because
Yeah,
recently it has been sold to Kraken, right?
yeah, that's
Yeah, and
that's
you
correct.
started it with Kret.
Yes, with Kraken main, it was like a very good timing, because in I think 2023 was when we started.
How did
Yeah,
you
I
come up with
moved.
the idea?
Yeah, well, I mean, I used to live in I used to live in Spain, and I just moved back to hometown where I live now. And I was
Hmm.
like, dude, like, what the fuck am I going to do? I was kind of like, and this was like when I was in this transition to just like, swing trading and all of these things that I do now, which like they require a lot of work and time, but also like you don't need to sit in front of things all day. So I was like,
Hmm.
I really want to do something uh, else, or like work on some things would be pretty cool to just kind of like occupy the mind a little bit. And yeah, basically, Cred reached out to me about it, that they are
Hmm.
starting this thing. And yeah, so I was like, yeah, I'm down, and I joined right at the beginning, and I'm basically working as a head of trading in
Hmm.
Breakout. So like my day to day is also quite busy these days, and I'm like doing stuff like managing risk and things around that basically.
What does head of trading mean in that context? Like, what do you do?
Yeah, I'm managing the risk. Are we are a-booking a lot of traders, so it means that that all these traders that get funded, the money, their flow is sent to exchanges, so they are
Hmm.
trading on actual exchange. And there is like a lot of work which basically evolves around monitoring the accounts, making sure everything is working as
Hmm.
intended, on the platform that we are using, and that everyone is trading as they supposed to, and stuff around that basically. So all of these like trading operations. um yeah.
Because I think many prop firms do it in a way where it's like people that trade don't actually like they have like demo accounts kind of
Yeah,
where they
yeah,
don't
yeah,
actually execute the
yeah.
stuff, but they get
that's
like paid
that's
out.
yeah, that's usually the kind of the way how it works, is that just people you know always trade on the demo account. They get paid from uh you know other
Hmm.
people and some other sources. But yeah, since we were, and they had really this idea to do this in crypto, which I think Breakout is really the first kind of like, there are more of them now, but yeah, I think we were kind of the first thing to
Yeah.
first firm to do it in crypto. And like a lot of these pro firms, they are in like CFD and forex space, where you these markets are basically traded OTC. So like the
Hmm.
people, like when you trade CFDs, which are these like European contracts for difference, just like thing, it's like big thing here in Europe, or just spot forex. It's just like traded with like one liquidity provider that just like takes all the data, and like you cannot really do things like we do where we can like connect to the exchange, via the API,
Hmm.
and just send the flow in like a very clear and visible way, basically, where we like have like a master account on the exchange, and where we like see all the trades and everything. So
Yeah.
so yeah, there's like a big difference from this, compared to these like forex firms, which are still, I think, more popular. So yeah, it's been a very fun experience, and yeah, recently we got acquired by Kraken.
Is the flow like sent to Kraken now? So you basically trade on Kraken if you use it, or?
We are using OKX at the moment,
Hmm.
mostly. Yeah, but we
I
are
see.
kind of working with Kraken, and trying to figure out um, all different ways how we can do it, because like these days it's quite a lot of volume as well, so we
Hmm.
are always kind of like thinking about where people can get the best execution in the first place,
Yeah.
so yeah.
What changed, or did anything change in your role now that you got acquired, or you're just like doing business as usual,
Not
basically?
not not really. I would say that like I think like there is a lot of like marketing, joint marketing stuff from like
Hmm.
Kraken and Breakout, but from like operations point of view, we are still very kind of independent, and like I work with like a very tight team on all of these trading operations. So not really for me. Uh, yeah, not really for me that much.
Why do you feel like a prop trading account makes sense if you're starting out as a trader to give you a chance to do some marketing, maybe?
Yeah, I mean it's definitely a way. Like I kind of started trading before this was like a huge trend, and
Hmm.
I kind of had the money already to not really seek out these opportunities. But yeah, I think it's a good thing to for people to get access to capital, when obviously like you need to look at it from the way that like how much you are paying for the account. It's basically it's like a risk, almost like a risk per trade type of situation, where like
Hmm.
you really need to view these things as like what is your risk compared to what you can basically gain if you manage to meet all the rules and basically eventually get funded. And there's like
Hmm.
a lot of people who make like really good money doing it, and I think like all of them have this like approach to it. It's just like access to more leverage for your money, because like, and it's like there are like edge cases where like we had these big sell-offs in BTC a month ago, and today also doesn't look very good. But and then, like like in these situations, like people lose fucking everything, like like you see like six-figure loss,
Yeah.
which is like retarded, someone wiping account on like one bad day.
Yeah.
uh, but like you can also kind of view the prop trading in this way, like you are never going to lose more of the money than you put in for like
Hmm.
buying this account. So I think it's like very good thing to do if you really want to get leverage. Obviously, it gets like a little bit of a bad reputation, because some of these firms are a bit shady, and they like don't pay out people and shit like that.
Hmm.
But yeah, I would say that like it's very important what you're doing in the first place, which should be kind of like an obvious thing even for like trading overall. uh it's just like you need to know what you are going to do, and not
Yeah.
go full like degen gambling the things, because that's never turns out to be the best thing to do. But
Mm.
like if you have like a trading strategy, if you have like approach, you test it on like smaller account, live account, whatever, and like you are not just going to fucking buy one account after the other and keep failing it, and you just
Hmm.
view it as kind of access to leverage, I think is a very good thing for people to do if they want to trade with more fun, basically.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. I want to ask one more thing about how your lifestyle has changed now. How you, if you have any advice since you went from trading full time every single day in front of the PC to now more higher time frame stuff, where you have more other time. If you have any words of advice to other
Yeah,
people,
yeah, man. Yeah, like I
lessons you
said, man.
learned.
Like I was like at one point, dude. Like I was like just fucked. Like I was, I was just like sitting at home, was just drinking all day. It was like
Yeah.
my single hobby was just like what bottle of whiskey I'm going to drink today. But yeah, I was like looking like shit, and it was awful, man. So like one thing which really made me that kind of, even I would say, like persist in this switch is just like, because I'm kind of type of person, like when I start to do something, I'm just like, like I don't mind sitting 16 hours in front of the desk when I'm like want
Yeah.
to do something and like needs to be done today. So I can get very kind of stuck on things. Um but it was like definitely a big help to me to kind of just like create space basically between
Hmm.
between like trading and just like focusing on something else. And yeah, like these days I don't really, I try to at least. It's not really always the case, but like I try to, and since being in Europe, like nothing really happens in the morning anyway in the markets and overall. So I
Yeah.
usually, I usually, like try to be away from desk until like 12, 1 p.m. basically,
Hmm.
and in the morning just do like fucking sports and go to gym and go for a run or something, to just not being at the desk. um it's like a big help, like it's I don't want to turn this into fucking like fitness coaching and positive mindset podcast,
Yeah.
but yeah, I'm very like against all of these things, like whatever. But yeah, it's definitely, I can definitely kind of like feel like I feel much better, and it also helps me kind of like think more clearly when
Yeah,
I'm
for
doing
sure.
other things. Like you go for a run and you just like we are running 10, 15 kilometers, and just like can have this like clear way of thinking about things and solutions rather than just sitting in front of PC and have a
Hmm.
Twitter opened on the one screen and then just being pissed at everything. So yeah, for sure, like trying to create the a kind of the balance between these things, because like I was like very burnout at like one point,
Hmm.
even it was the point like I had a like more money than I ever had before, and
Hmm.
I was like, dude, like what's like it's almost like no point because I just like feel like shit, and it's just like
Yeah.
yeah.
What keeps you like motivated now that you have quote unquote made it or whatever?
I think I'm like not compatible to do anything else in life. No, like uh, like I think like working at Breakout was very helpful to me, because like
Yeah.
working with people and just like focusing, it's still like trading related, but it's just like you get like very different point of view on trading, and you just like have to solve different problems
Hmm.
than you do in your own trading. And the trading itself, like I still do enjoy it. The fact that it's making money is definitely helpful. If I would be just losing money every month, I would probably not enjoy it so much. But yeah, it's just like there is like so much stuff you can like learn, and there are like so many different things you can trade, and like like you start to look into this one thing, and like with options, we spoke about options, for example. It's like I
Hmm.
haven't been trading options for a long time. It's been just like 1 or 2 years, and yeah, it just like started, like like you start to just read about some basics, and then you just go more and more deeper and deeper into it, and all of a sudden you're just like few months in, and you have all these different strategies that you can trade and test and stuff like that. So yeah, I still just genuinely enjoy uh, trading and just doing
Nice.
these things. And
Yeah.
um, yeah, and especially since I kind of like, I know that like when I leave for a week and just do nothing for a week, like I'm not going to probably like miss something like huge. Obviously, like
Yeah.
downside for these things, especially like when you trade like directional stuff, like you miss the trade, you're fucked. Like you get this like one day of like
Yeah.
when the signal happens, like you had like last year, like when Trump won the election, right? Like you had like a day to get long, and
Yeah.
usually like even in April, this year, there's like a very short window. So to be fair, like I would say that like if maybe like even if you are day trading, like that's probably like more flexible in the sense like you can just like fuck off for a week, and
Hmm.
like you are not going to miss anything. For this hard time frame approach, it's a little bit more complicated, but also at the same time, like when I used to day trade, like I couldn't do it anywhere other than from my home.
Hmm.
You always see these fucking people trading on phones,
Yeah.
but
Or like on the
yeah,
laptop
like
in front of the
yeah,
pool.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But that's that's not really a thing. Like you need to
Yeah.
have this like bigger setup, and like you need to be in a space where like, you can 100% focus.
Hmm.
Uh, which for these like a bigger time frame trades that I do now, it's not really uh the case. I don't want
Yeah.
to say that I can trade from my phone because I can, but like I can do stuff on the laptop. I can go for a week somewhere and just have like sit in the kitchen on a laptop
Hmm.
and still be able to do everything that I need to do during that time. So yeah, but definitely like trying to, and I know like there's like a lot of people on CT who are just like years on just like non-stop terminal online and just
Hmm.
going each day. But yeah, I think like finding some kind of balance into this like definitely
Yeah,
even
for
help
sure.
like trade the overall trading, and me not wanting to die. So yeah.
That is also very,
Yeah.
very important. Not dying in the market and not dying like physically
Yeah,
or
yeah.
mentally as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it from me. Do you have anything else that you want to say?
Um, I
Anything you
guess
want to
not
shoot?
really. I think we spoke about a bunch of things. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a fun discussion. Thank you very much for coming on,
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
of course, and have a great rest of your day.
You too. Thanks.